إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا فإنه من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد، عباد الله، فإن أحسن الحديث كتاب الله وأحسن الهدي هدي نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم شر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة. I bear witness that there is no true deity worthy of worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that His Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is His final and last messenger. I praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as He should be praised, the creator of all things, the provider for all of His creations. O you who believe, have taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and do not die except in a state of submission, a state of Islam to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. O you who believe, have taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and fear Him as He should be feared. And say the truth, say what is correct. If you do so, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will correct and rectify your actions. And whomever obeys Allah and His Messenger, then he has already attained the ultimate success. To proceed, dear brothers and sisters in Islam, the best of speech is the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the best of guidance is the guidance of His Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And the worst of matters are newly innovated matters in this religion, because whatever is innovated in this religion that is newly innovated would lead you astray, and whatever would lead you astray would lead you to hellfire. Before we start, inshallah, I'd like the brothers to move up and squeeze together. There's a lot of gaps in the middle and there's already some people standing outside. So I see space, 2, 3, there's a lot of space around. Squeeze together, come forward please. The Prophet ﷺ had instructed us to be lenient, right, with our shoulder towards our fellow Muslim brother, right? To lean towards each other. And this is from the mercy of being Muslims and brothers in Islam, that we cater to each other's needs. We want to be in the first row, but we also love our brothers and sisters. We also want them to be in that row too. There's a space right here if somebody wants to move up front. Jazakumullah khair. Now, one of the things that we get accustomed to do, and we know every Friday, is that many of us will start reading Surah Al-Kahf. And it is a sunnah from the Prophet ﷺ that he has encouraged us to every single week to read Surah Al-Kahf. And it has become a ritual, and there are many virtues associated with it in various different hadith that the Prophet ﷺ had mentioned specifically about Surah Al-Kahf. Now this tells you at least that something that is repeated every week, and there's a lot of virtues associated with it, tells you the importance of a verse or a surah in the Quran. And perhaps maybe it is meant that we read it every week because of the important lessons that Surah Al-Kahf have. Something that we constantly need reminder in. And so, inshallah, over the next few khutbahs, I'm going to try to divide some of these lessons from the khutbah, from the Surah Al-Kahf. Because if we look at Surah Al-Kahf, you realize that the main theme about Surah Al-Kahf surrounds and discusses some of the trials, the tests that each one of us will go through life in one degree or another. Depending obviously where we live, either we find all of them, we quite often actually find all of them, but to various degrees. Surah Al-Kahf talks about these tribulations specifically and how we can overcome them from the stories that are mentioned in the Surah Al-Kahf. And if we want to summarize things, I guess we can accumulate the main sources of fitan, of tribulations and trials and tests into 4 categories perhaps. And all the other fitans can maybe perhaps go underneath them. And that is the fitna or the tribulation and trial of religion. Trial in your religion, being tested in your faith and religion. The second is being tested in your tribulations, the fitna of wealth. The third being of knowledge, and the fourth being of having power. Surah Al-Kahf, dear brothers and sisters in Islam, if you understand that these have to do with the fitan and tribulations and its solutions, you will also understand why it has to do with the virtues associated with it. So for example, when the Prophet ﷺ would say, من قرأ سورة الكهف يوم الجمعة كانت له نور بين الجمعتين كانت له نور ما بين الجمعتين, that whomever recites Surah Al-Kahf on the day of Jum'ah, so on the day of Jum'ah, so between Fajr and Maghrib, whomever recites it on the day of Jum'ah, then it will be a source of light for him between the two Fridays, so from one Friday to the next Friday. It's a source of light because it's a guidance for you to be able to, if you learn the lessons from the surah, you're going to be able to protect yourself and overcome those tribulations that we face in our life. If you think about it, whether it's in our religion, in our wealth, or some of the power that we have, or even knowledge, some of the misconceptions we face, it will be a source of protection for you to be able to overcome these and be on firm ground. We understand why the Prophet ﷺ also had said, من حفظ 10 آيات من أول سورة الكهف عصم من الدجال, and another narration من أواخر سورة الكهف. So the Prophet ﷺ had said, whomever memorized the first 10 verses from Surah Al-Kahf, then they are a protection for him from the Dajjal. And another narration from the last 10 verses of Surah Al-Kahf. But why the Dajjal? Because the Dajjal resembles all these four fitans on the day before the days of judgment. When he comes and claims that, or he possesses much of the wealth, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give him the ability to draw the treasures from underneath the earth. That is in wealth. You'll be tested in your religion. He will tell you that I am your Lord. And he will create certain miracles by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so that is a test in your knowledge. And then you will have obviously power. And so that is test in power and strength. And so whoever understands these, it will be clear for him that deception of the Dajjal will be protected. And so this perhaps is the association between Surah Al-Kahf and its theme of the tribulations and trials that we face and how to overcome them and the virtues that are associated with it. In fact, one can say this is why perhaps it is called Surah Al-Kahf. Because if you think Surah Al-Kahf means the cave. The cave, what it does, it acts for a person as a safe haven at night from the things that can harm him at night. And so it's a source of protection, similar to how this surah in the Quran, if we really look and ponder in it and learn from its lessons, they are protection from us once again from the fitan and tribulations. So let's go right into the surah and talk about the first tribulation. We're going to take only the first one, which is the tribulation in your faith and religion. And this is emphasized in the story of the Ahl al-Kahf, the people of the Kahf itself, who are young individuals. And the surah and the verse talks about, quickly I'm going to summarize it, those young men who were grouped from a community or a group of people in a village or in a country, they have become Muslims and believers and wanted to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone and really strive to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, the king of that place, who was a disbeliever, and the people who were underneath that king, did not take this very easily. But rather the king used his power and strength and used every single method that he can, whether it's by threatening or whether by placing certain pressures, whatever he could do to deter these individuals from religion. And it has to be clear when we're talking about a tribulation or a test in religion, what we really mean is that the test that we face from others or from other circumstances that would try to deter us from this religion, either by completely leaving it or by taking part of the religion and leaving part, or by changing it one way or another. All these are forms of tests in your religion and faith, how strong you will hold to it. And I want you, as we're saying this, to think about the modern time that we live in. All these three types are there. We live in a time that the reality is many of our Muslims leave this religion because of the tests and tribulations that they face. Whether it's by their own desires that they want to leave this religion because they want to settle down to calm their conscience, their guilt factor, that they know they're just obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or whether because of the misconceptions. But in the end, a lot of it has to do with desire and misconceptions, but the end result is because of the pressure of the society that they leave this religion. We live in a time that we have Muslims that try to twist and change this religion so that it would cater to the society they live in. This is a fitna, a tribulation. We live in times where people would selectively practice part of the religion and leave the other part of the religion. This is a test and tribulation. And so these people of Surah Al-Kahf, they were the shabab, the youth of Surah Al-Kahf. These youth, they were faced by this. But what did they do? They did not succumb to that pressure. They did not submit to it. Not after knowing the right path and worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to succumb to it, but rather they held their ground. And they left their community running away from the persecution that they were facing. And they went in a cave to protect themselves, to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At a distance that's safe enough from the village, but also still close enough that they can go back to whenever they need. So let's look quickly at some of the lessons from this. Because one of the most important lessons is that these individuals were able to succeed. And so we can draw from it, what can we use to protect our own religion? And we have to understand the fitna of religion is really something that I have to be worried about. The Prophet ﷺ would make dua quite often to protect his own religion. We know this, and we had discussed this hadith in a khutbah before, which is narrated by Sahih Muslim. The Prophet ﷺ would say, Allahumma, O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, grant me, Allahumma aslih li dini alladhi huwa ismatu amri, O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, fix for me my religion that is the source of my protection. This is really important. The Prophet ﷺ told us that there are fitan, things that would happen, tribulations. So the Prophet ﷺ would say, بادروا بالأعمال قطعا من الليل بادروا بالأعمال فتنا كقطع الليل المظلم يمسي الرجل فيه يصبح الرجل فيه مؤمنا ويمسي كافرا ويمسي فيه مؤمنا ويصبح كافرا يبيع دينه عرضا من الدنيا. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, بادروا بالأعمال, hasten to do good deeds before tribulations that come, that are so severe that they are like the darkness of the night, meaning that these tribulations, when you're in it, they are like the darkness of the night. Sometimes it becomes very difficult to differentiate between what is right and what is wrong anymore, except for those who Allah protected. And so this is why the Prophet ﷺ said, بادروا, hasten, before, do something that would help you at this time. And he discussed and he talked about this time and fitna, and he said that the man would wake up in the morning as a believer and at night becomes a disbeliever. And at night he would be a believer and wake up in the morning as a disbeliever. What does he do? يَبِيعُ دِينَهُ. He would sell his faith, his religion. This is the tribulation. بِعَرَضْ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا. For something that is worldly. Now, arad over here, many people think it is something that is sort of a wealth, something monetary gain. But it's a bit more than that. It is any time you sacrifice your religion for, yes, for wealth, but also for a position. Whether it's nobility or a position in a whatever company or a state, when you sacrifice your religion for something that is worldly as that, whether it's wealth, whether it's a position of leadership, or there's to gain nobility or the favor of other individuals, or even to be popular. When often we live in a time people would purposely mock their religion so that they will be supported and be popular. We have to be careful about this. This can make an individual a disbeliever. And so this is what it means that they would sell their religion for this. The Prophet ﷺ warned us about this. So how do we counteract this? How do we protect ourselves? What did the people of the Kahf, the youth of the Kahf, and it's amazing that these individuals were young individuals, yet they had the wisdom and the support from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be able to face this. So what are some of the factors that we can do? I'm going to try to quickly mention 4 or 5 inshallah, depending on how much time we have. The first thing that is important that we can do and is necessary is that we make dua. Dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would keep us firm upon this religion. Dua that we would not go astray. And I just mentioned the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. He would say, Allahumma aslih li dini, O Allah, fix my faith, my religion for me, that is the source of my protection. These young people in Surah Al-Kahf, this is what they did. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had mentioned in the verses of the Quran, what did they ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? They asked him to protect him. To protect them. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, أَمْ حَسَبْتَ أَنَّ أَصْحَابَ الْكَهْفِ وَالرَّقِيمِ كَانُوا مِنْ آيَاتِنَا عَجَبًا إِذْ أَوَى الْفِتْيَةُ إِلَى الْكَهْفِ فَقَالُوا رَبَّنَا آتِنَا مِنْ لَدُنْكَ رَحْمَةً وَهَيِّئْ لَنَا مِنْ أَمْرِنَا رَشَدًا. O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, give us from you a mercy. وَهَيِّئْ لَنَا مِنْ أَمْرِنَا رَشَدًا, and give us, grant us the truth, or put us on the straight path. Al-Rashad, which is the straight path, the truth. And let us be firm on that straight path. This is the dua of those individuals. They were sincere to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that dua. And so dua is not something to be taken lightly. This is something that's important. It shows that you are showing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you need Him, that there is no protector but Allah, and this is the truth. And that you truly want to protect your religion, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would grant it to you if you have the sincerity. That is the first thing we can do. The second thing that the people of the Kahf did was that they distanced themselves away from those who went astray. And this is something that is imperative and very important for us, that we distance ourselves. And what I mean by distance ourselves is not to be involved with those individuals who would take you away from this religion. Because the more you get involved with them, the more you'll be led astray by it. Can I ask the 3 brothers to sit down, please? The youth, sit down. So one thing we should never do is leave your spot, because this is better than going somewhere else. Being inside the masjid better than outside, being the first row better than the back rows. So inshallah, if you can stay, please. So, the Prophet ﷺ had taught us this from when he explained Surah Al-Kahf. And those individuals had distanced themselves from the disbeliever. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَإِذْ اعْتَزَلُوهُمْ وَمَا يَعْبُدُونَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ, they departed, they distanced themselves from the disbelievers. And we live in a time, by the way, that this is very easy. It's not something that is difficult. It is easy for us to stay away from places that are a source of fitna in our religion, in every possible way that we can. This is something that's important, because as long as you are in an area that is contaminated by these things, you will be affected. So we need to keep our distance away from these things. The third thing that these individuals did was that they worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is why they left those people in the first place, to worship Allah. Because this worship is what bonds us with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and makes us firm in this religion. We understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it obligatory for us to pray the 5 daily prayers. This is why it is there, to protect us. When you do not worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you do not fulfill your obligations, you are not protecting your religion. You are not. You're leaving yourself open wide to all the other things that can affect you. The first thing that would affect you is the shaitan. So when you don't worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you don't fulfill your obligations, you leave yourself wide open for the shaitan to be able to affect your heart. And once your heart is affected, it is diseased. And what is diseased without being treated, it can die. And whenever it dies, you lose your religion. And so this is something that is important for us to realize. So the first was making dua. The second, departing from those who take you away from this religion. And the third is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. إن الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. Now the fourth thing that those individuals have done, and perhaps we can implement inshallah to protect our religion, is that they kept themselves in righteous company. Now we mentioned that they are a group of young individuals, which means they kept themselves with righteous individuals. This is something that is important because when you're united, you support each other easier. Because when you fall behind, your friend will drag you. A righteous person would care for you. It's interesting that quite often some people, or it's one of the virtues or benefits with associating yourself with pious individuals, is that you quite often will be praised because you're accompanying them. And this is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just to drive this point through, many of the scholars say that the dog, those individuals' youth, they had a dog with them. He was specifically mentioned in the Quran with them. What is the point of mentioning a dog? The scholars say that the dog was mentioned as a blessing because he had accompanied righteous individuals. So when you accompany righteous individuals, you are able to hold on to your religion, as opposed to being alone and reading astray from the pious. When you are alone and you're not with the pious individuals, once again, it becomes easier for the shaitan to affect you. Because the Prophet ﷺ had given an example in the sunnah of what the shaitan does. He said the shaitan acts like the wolf who takes from the lone sheep that moves away from the rest of the group. The wolf doesn't attack the entire group, but rather the sheep that strays away on the side by itself. And so when we stray away from those pious individuals, when we are by ourselves on the side, it becomes very easy to fall prey to whatever that would lead us away from this religion. And so one of the ways that we can protect our religion is be with pious individuals. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, I've mentioned 4 quick things that would help us overcome the fitna of being tribulated and tried in our own religion. And those are the same things that the young people of Surah Al-Kahf had done to protect their religion. I'm going to quickly summarize them once again. The first is to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second is that we depart from the things that would take us away from this religion. The third is that we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as He deserves to be worshipped. The fourth is to keep righteous company. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect our religion, that is a safe haven for us. Our religion that is protection for us in this world and hereafter. Our religion is that the most important thing in our life. When we lose everything in this world and the hereafter. Our religion that is not worth anything in this world that we give it up. Neither wealth, neither position, neither a human being. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to provide for us what would place us firm in this religion, and to guide us to what is best for us in this world and the hereafter, and to teach us what benefits us and benefits us what we have learned, and to make us among those who are with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in their judgment. اللهم اغفر لنا المؤمنات أحياء منهم والأموات وارحمنا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين ونسألك الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى وربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة والآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وسكن العفو والعافية في الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بعد علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم نسألك الفردوس الأعلى وما قرب إليه من قول وعمل ونعوذ بك من النار ما قرب إليه من قول وعمل. اللهم نسألك الفردوس الأعلى وما قرب إليه من قول وعمل ونعوذ بك من النار ما قرب إليه من قول وعمل. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين وقوموا إلى صلاتكم الحمد لله.